Boom, boom, boom. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the J Youngblood Experience. Sorry for the hiatus. I know it's been a little while since I dropped a podcast, but don't be in doubt. This podcast is going to be a good one. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to college football and everything that has transpired since I has last obviously sent or made a podcast. And obviously, some things happened with Ohio State killing Oregon, Penn State beating Boise State. It was actually closer than a lot of you said it would, that game. If it wasn't for the 3 picks by their quarterback, Boise State, that is, um, Boise State probably would have won that game. And then you have Georgia Notre Dame, which was a win for me solely because both those teams, as you know, and if you've been listening to the podcast, I can't stand them. I think their fans are just absolutely arrogant for no reason and obnoxious and all of the above. And then you have Texas going to OT with Arizona State, which I didn't think was going to happen. Quinn Ewers did ball out in that game, but so did Arizona State's offense. They showed a lot of grit in that game, a lot of ability to do things that we did not think they were going to do. I did not think that game was going to be that close, but obviously it was pretty close when you look at the box score. Now, I was going to show up in this podcast wearing a big um, leprechaun outfit for all of my Notre Dame fans just to make y'all a little bit more irritated with me. But no, I didn't do that. Obviously, Party City's closing down anyway, so can't really get any stuff from them. But don't act like I'm not going to talk about Notre Dame, because I indeed am, and I have a lot to say to Notre Dame fans. First, I want to say congratulations. Congratulations! You finally got the big one. Like I said, I wasn't impressed by the Indiana win. That didn't go far with me. It was Indiana. Indiana hasn't done anything and probably won't do anything. Just, luckily for the 12-game playoff for them, they were able to get a seed and were able to get into the college football playoff. Now, you can argue whether they deserved it or not. You can argue that, but they still made it in, nevertheless. And Notre Dame did beat them, and then they went on and beat Georgia, and a fashion that, I mean, I didn't think it was going to be that bad, I guess. Um, but I guess I also didn't think Georgia would not look that great defensively, offensively. But Notre Dame, you have one of the worst fight songs in all of college football. What is this? It sounds like a church hymn. This is awful. Whoever came up with this, we need to do something better. We need to come up with something better. This is your college football fight song. This is your fight song. I want y'all to pay attention to this is one of the worst fight songs, theme songs, whatever you want to call it, in all of college football. This is pretty bad. Like I said, it sounds like a church hymn. I get it, it's Catholic school, but still, pretty wild. Let me turn this shit off. There we go. Notre Dame, congratulations. You beat Georgia. Without their starting veteran quarterback who started 2 seasons for them. You could play Gunnar Stockton, who had a decent game. Threw for 234 passing yards, a touchdown. I think he went about 65% of his passes were completed. But you beat a team in which they lost their leader on the field. And no, I don't think quarterback winning is a quarterback stat. But at the same time, it changes a whole lot with the team. You have your offensive coordinator who's going to call the game completely different versus if he actually had his starting quarterback who started for them for 2 years. Um, And also, this quarterback in Gunnar Stockton had not played in this big of a game before. This is the first start, I believe. First, I think his second game played in, first career start in college football, and he has to go and play. What was it, Sugar Bowl? Maybe. Let me double check. What bowl game was this called? Yeah, Sugar Bowl. He had to go play in the Sugar Bowl against Notre Dame in a playoff game. So this is again. I mean, Notre Dame fans are going to hit me, and they're going to be like, "Well, we still won. We beat Georgia, powerhouse in college football. The SEC is dead. The SEC isn't dead. Most of the year, SEC beat themselves up. Yeah, you beat a couple teams, uh, who are lower ranked in the SEC. You can argue that whenever Texas beat Tennessee, that was just another SEC on SEC crime, and you can arguably say that Tennessee isn't even a top five within the SEC. So I really don't have much to say besides that. But congratulations to Notre Dame. You beat Georgia without their starting quarterback. They had to play the game completely different for when they would have, with Carson Beck in. Whether you want to believe it or not, Carson Beck was a seasoned vet. He had played in big games like this before. SEC championship games in Tennessee, games at Alabama, games at Texas, if you don't remember. Um, and to just throw this guy in, Gunnar Stockton, who didn't play a bad game, but your offensive coordinator, your defense going to play different because they have to be on their toes. The offense is going to play different. The wide receivers won't have as much chemistry with their quarterback as they would if it was Carson Beck. I mean, this is just a completely different game with Gunnar Stockton versus with Carson Beck. I think Georgia wins this game with Carson Beck. Otherwise, so like I said, I don't. I mean, this is a big win for Notre Dame. I'm not going to take that away. But at the same time, you're playing a guy who has never started in college before. Took over a game, I think, in a bowl game. Took over a game for Carson Beck in the SEC championship after he got injured. And then this is his first game actually starting. And yeah, I don't have. What do you want me to say? This is not. You beat a team without their starting quarterback, who, whether you say it or not, is a seasoned vet and a very good quarterback in college football. If you look at the stats, they're missing a lot when it comes to Carson Beck. They're missing a lot. So for you to sit over there and say that, y'all beat Georgia, I mean, yes, you beat Georgia. Congratulations, but you didn't beat Georgia. They were missing some elements in which, if you lost your quarterback, you would feel somewhat the same way. And your quarterback didn't have an amazing game. He didn't throw for over 100 yards passing. He rushed for about 80 yards. So total yards, he probably had about 150-ish total yards. You didn't win this game because of your quarterback. You won this game because they couldn't stop your run attack up front. They couldn't. And your D line, give it up to the O line and D line. I can't say that. The O line and D line did, in fact, show up for Notre Dame in this game. But I don't give you much props for being a team without their veteran quarterback. The quarterback gets the ball every offensive play. This is a huge thing to look for. It's huge. So for them to lose Carson Beck in a game like this with so much on the line, so much, just so much on the line, you put in this quarterback who has never started in Gunnar Stockton and expect them to win is very hard to do for the entire team. It's a gut punch. It really is. It's a gut punch. So, I mean, I respect a little bit more in Notre Dame, but it's not a lot. Like, if it was a ladder, I would go up one more step, one more rung on the ladder for you with respect. That's about it. There's not much more I want to give you. There's not much more you deserve, I don't think. But a lot of people have you as the well, I would say Ohio State's the favorite now. I think you're probably third, right behind. Let's see, Ohio State. You got Texas still playing. Um, Texas, Ohio State. I would put you in head of Penn State for sure. So you're probably the third best team currently in college football playoffs. But like I said, looking at the stats, your quarterback threw for only 90 yards, only one touchdown. Gunnar Stockton, have a game, brother. You did well. Did well, son. You did pretty well. You threw for 234 yards, one touchdown. You were 20 of 32. Problem is, Georgia couldn't run the ball. Georgia could not run the ball to save their life. Trevor Etienne or Travis Trevor, is it Trevor Etienne? Whatever his name is, only had 38 yards rushing on 11 carries. That's rough sledding for you, brother. In a big game like this, Georgia needed a bigger impact from you. Really did. Like I said, passing yards, Georgia killed Notre Dame, but what really killed Georgia was the lack of rushing game. Notre Dame had 154 yards rushing compared to Georgia's 66. I mean, you have to respect what I'm saying, no? You have to be able to respect what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think that Notre Dame's the third best team in college football right now when it comes to the playoffs. But there's not much to be said beyond that. I don't think they win the playoff at all. Not at all. Riley Leonard, you did have a decent game. The rush yards was really what showed up. Like I said, you had about 170 yards total with one touchdown. Jordan Faison, your running back, had 4 carries, 46 yards. Decent game for him on 4 carries. But this doesn't prove much to me. This doesn't say much to me as a college football fan. It really doesn't. Because, like I said, they didn't have their quarterback in to play. Notre Dame, you were still, I think, overrated. What I give the game to, who I think won this game for Notre Dame, was the men up front who showed up and played ball. Your D line, your O line showed up and played ball. Y'all, and like that changes everything too. So whenever you have a new quarterback in who is not a veteran quarterback, such as Gunnar Stockton, you're going to see different play calls on the defensive line as well. That's just how it works. So obviously they're not going to be they're not going to respect this pass game as they would Carson Beck. So the defense and the O line and the D line are going to call plays differently as well compared to what they would call it if Carson Beck was playing. You know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different game. But it is a completely different game. Completely. And anybody who disagrees just doesn't know ball. It's a completely different game. Georgia not having Carson Beck was huge. And I mean huge for that entire game for the Georgia Bulldogs. Also, the fact that they couldn't get a run game started. They passed the ball, but didn't do it too terribly well. And then the front, they just got ate up all game. Ate up all game long. So, really, yeah, Notre Dame, you won. But, it wasn't anything that I'm too impressed with. I'm just simply not impressed with it. I'm not. Why should I be? It's more annoying than anything hearing all these fans talking about how they beat Georgia. Yeah, congrats, you beat Georgia. But you beat Georgia with a quarterback in which he was started 0 games prior and only played in 2 games prior in the actual NCAA. So congratulations to Notre Dame. Play it for us. The worst fight song in all of college football. I'm not too impressed. I'm not too impressed. You were third best college football team going into the semifinal. I'm not too impressed, brother. I'm not. I'm not impressed at all. But like I said, congrats. You're welcome. It was great for you. I'm sure you felt well about yourself. But I mean, I'm not too terribly intrigued by your win. More what I'm intrigued about is less of which, um, you know, not the team you beat, but the way your front played. I think your front O line, D line played really well, but I don't believe that you're that great of a team. I really don't. Your quarterback didn't do much, Mr. Riley Leonard. I mean, he ran the ball efficiently, didn't throw the ball too efficient, didn't have many yards passing. And I think teams that you play upcoming are definitely going to see that and be like, okay, well, this is something we can exploit. But I'm not too terribly I'm not like I'm not impressed, really, truly. I wish I could say I was, but I'm not. I'm not impressed. So congratulations, and to all my Georgia fans. I told y'all that shit was gonna happen. I told y'all you motherfuckers was gonna fall. You said Gunnar Stockton was gonna be the man. He was gonna win it for you. He was gonna take over, just like Jake Fromm did, just like Stetson did, and he was gonna lead y'all to the promised land. And he was gonna win y'all another championship. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Did not happen for you, brother. And I don't feel bad. Because y'all been barking, y'all been talking shit all year. Then when it comes down to it, you motherfuckers make excuses. Shit, I just made one for you. I made you an excuse right when I began the podcast. I was like, oh, well, Gunnar Stockton, it only started, 0 games, only played in 2. I gave you a big old excuse. But for Georgia fans, this is what I'm going to say. You're going to come up with the excuses of, what's his name, messing with or running into the ref. You're going to make excuses about Gunnar Stockton. You're going to make excuses about the ref. You're going to make excuses about you not being able to run the ball. The matter of the fact is that you lost the game. You didn't win. This is not a game you won. You lost. Notre Dame outplayed you this game. Whether or not you had the best players on the field that you could possibly have, and they put the best players on the field that they possibly had. So I don't feel bad for you. All that shit you talked all year long is now up and at 'em, baby. It's here. And you have to deal with the fact that you lost this game. That Georgia will not be in the college football championship. Georgia will be doing the same thing a lot of people doing, including myself, is sitting on the couch and watching the games from home. Now you got to figure out what are y'all going to do in the off season to win another championship. Because you have a lot of teams now. Ohio State looks like they're going to win it all. Looks like they're going to be good for a very long time. If Ryan Day can just do what he needs to do and not fuck around like he usually does, they could be good for a very long time. But Ryan Day is the kryptonite for Ohio State. Ryan Day will be the reason they win, and they will also be the reason that Ohio State loses. Now, getting into Ohio State, I did not expect Ohio State to come out and play the way they did against Oregon. It was something I have never seen. I thought Ryan Day was going to end up blowing it. I thought he was just going to be done for. I thought this game was going to Oregon for sure, solely for the fact that Ohio State has a track record with Ryan Day to lose games in which they should and need to win, whether it was with his time management or simply play calling or simply not making the plays and the calls he needs to make for his team to win. Everybody know the first Oregon game y'all played them, y'all should have won that game. But again, Ryan Day doesn't. His time management skills, like Mike McCarthy of the Dallas Cowboys, is not good. His time management skills is not good. But this game right here showed that Oregon has the best roster in all of college football and is probably currently the best team in all of college football, and my pick to win the college football playoff. They looked ready. They looked zoned in. They looked like a team that was on a mission, and Ryan Day didn't step in and fuck it up. Ryan Day, you saw smiles from Ryan Day on the side. You saw him angry on the side if plays weren't taken care of. He was in this game through and through, and that's something that I don't think I've seen from Ryan Day all season. He was ready to win this game. He was just as ready as his players. And to put up 500 points on Oregon, where they only had half that, about 200 and something. Will Howard balled. Jeremiah Smith. Is his name there Jeremiah Smith or Jeremiah? Let me double check. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith balled. 7 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 tutties, making his argument for being the best wide receiver in all of college football. Him and Ryan Williams, also 2 very young cats, both born in 05. Jeremiah Smith made a case for him being the best college football wide receiver coming out of Ohio State. Yes, Ohio State does put out a good wide receiver. I still think LSU is wide receiver U. But Jeremiah Smith, have a day, son. Almost 200 yards total. 2 tutties on only 7 receptions. My guy said, fuck all that. We gonna win. My guy said, fuck all that. We gonna win. Playing the number 1 team in the country in Oregon. And it wasn't even close, guys. If you watch this game, you understand exactly what happened. Ohio State put their shoe in their face and made them eat their shit. It was just not a close game. And I kind of liked it. I don't like Ohio State. I don't hate Ohio State. But this team looked like they are ready to run through the playoffs and make another bid for the national championship game. Excuse me. Bless me. It was amazing to watch. Only reason you wouldn't like it is if you were an Oregon fan or a Michigan fan. But if you like college football, that game right there, son, they were good on every asset of the game. Bless you, thank you. It was just awesome to watch. And like I said, I'm not a huge Ohio State fan, but these boys came to play. 500 yards total offense, 319 passing, and 181 rushing the ball. Total offense, 500 yards. Wow. Will Howard was 17 of 26, 319 yards passing, and 3 tutties, 2 of which go into Jeremiah Smith. Dillon Gabriel still had a decent game. I do like Dillon Gabriel a lot. He just got outclassed by this Ohio State team. He threw for about 300. 2 TDs by him. Like I said, 300 yards, 29 of 41, very efficient from the field. But what killed them was just Jeremiah Smith going off and Ohio State's rushing attack having, almost 200 yards total rushing yards. It was just an outclass game by Ohio State. Ohio State ran through this Oregon team, and it wasn't even close. So shout out to Ohio State. You really showed something to me, and I think even all fans across the NCAA, that you are a team to be reckoned with, and you are here to play football. You killed the boys. Will Howard, I did not expect you to play the way you played. No turnovers by this team. 500 yards total offense compared to Oregon's only 275, I believe. This was a game that Ohio State had to make a statement due to previous games. Michigan, for instance, Oregon, for instance. But to come out and hold these boys to negative 23 rushing yards is something to behold, for sure. And Ohio State isn't known for their defense, always known for their offense. But they came out and had a game. And like I said, they have my bid to win it all. Could I be wrong? Possibly. Do I think I'm wrong? No. I think they do what they need to do and win it all. It's going to be either them or Texas. I don't think Notre Dame or Penn State are going to win it. I think it's going to be Ohio State and or um, Texas. Going to be one of the two, in my opinion. And then you have Penn State and Boise State. What can I say? I mean, a lot of people were talking down on Ashton Gianti, who should have won the Heisman by the way. But if you look at the box score, if it wasn't for the 3 interceptions by Drew Eller, or not by Drew Eller, I'm sorry, by Boise State's quarterback, I forget his name, Madsen, I think that Boise State wins this game. But unfortunately, he threw for 3 picks, only 1 touchdown. Did throw for 304 yards, total passing yards. Ashton Gianti still had a game, 104 yards carried on 30 carries. And that really doesn't speak a lot to what he actually did in this game. If you watch that game, he had some crazy runs where he was just running through people. But you know, things happen. They don't, like I said, if they were going to win, it was going to be because Ashton Gianti goes for 250. If they were going to lose, then it was going to be because their quarterback just simply couldn't keep up. And as you see, their passing game is not the greatest. So that's really what lost them this game. It was solely because their quarterback lost them the game. It was 3 picks by him, and it was just an awful showing by him. He still threw for 300 yards, but he just kind of screwed them out of winning, truly. I mean, it's hard to come back from 3 turnovers, and for it to be that close of a game at 31-14, I think it could have been a lot closer. Excuse me. But it is what it is. I had Boise State actually winning this game. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Total yards, they beat Penn State 412 to 387. Passing yards too. Only thing that Penn State beat them in were actually the rushing yards, which is kind of crazy. But they're just not an all-around better team than Penn State. I just thought Ashton Gianti possibly could go out and run this game for them and actually win the game for them. But unfortunately, as we see, that didn't happen. You know, but things happen. It is what it is. But I still think Penn State doesn't win Natty, nor does Notre Dame. I think it's solely going to be Texas or, you know, the boys, Ohio State. I think that's who it's going to be, truly. Truly, 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 I think it's going to be Ohio State or Texas. That's my pick to win it all, truly. I don't think Penn State is deep enough. I don't think Notre Dame is deep enough to win. But I do think Texas or Ohio State has a big enough team to win this game, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. Most people just get upset about opinions, and you know what you can do if you don't like my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, you listen to this podcast. You're listening. You picked my face, brother. You clicked my face to listen. I didn't pick your face. You picked my face to listen. Let's look at the bracket now. Let's look. All right, so coming up we have, if it'll load, we have Texas and Ohio State. That's gonna be the game who chooses who wins Natty. Then you got Penn State and Notre Dame. I think it's gonna end up being Notre Dame and Ohio State in the national championship, where Ohio State comes out and wins pretty easily. I think Ohio State has a way better team than Notre Dame. If you listen to my podcast and you know, I truly believe that. Last game we're going to talk about is the Arizona State and Texas Longhorn game. Now, I did not expect this game to be this close. Not at all, actually. Quinn Ewers had a game though, 20 of 30, 322 yards. Mr. Scattaboo is the biggest player of this game. 30 carries, 143 yards, and 2 TDs. Also led in receiving yards with 8 receptions, 99 yards, and he passed in this game for a TD as well for the Arizona Sun Devils. I'm very surprised how far this game went to OT. Arizona State did put up 510 yards total offense. 296 of that was passing, and 214 of that was rushing. Texas had a total of 375 yards total offense, 322 coming in the air, and only 53 coming on the ground. Now, if you look at the box score and stats, you assume Arizona State won solely because they put up so many yards. Only had 1 turnover. But in OT, the Texas Longhorns came out and won the game for this team in Texas. Now Texas has to go and play Ohio State in the semifinal, where that should be a really good game in my opinion. But I think Ohio State probably wins by a little over 7 points. Sorry, I'm playing 2K as I'm doing this. Little over 7 points, and ultimately goes on to win the national title. Unfortunately, but I don't hate Ohio State. Their fans can be a little obnoxious, but I think Ohio State's going to win. Obviously, I can't be too biased. I have to be somewhat unbiased talking about college football. But Arizona State, actually, I was very surprised by your play. I was very surprised how close the game was. A lot of people were counting you out, not only before this game, but coming into the national college or the college football playoff. They didn't think you were good enough to be in, but yet you are in, and you made it in, and you did what you needed to do. You almost did what you needed to do. You showed that you deserve to be there at least, which was huge. I thought you were just another Indiana where you got the bid in, but you really weren't that great. But you look good in this game against Texas. You really did. Now that gets us into the dumbass of the week, and the dumbass of the week goes to all of Notre Dame fans. Why, you ask? Well, they're treating this Georgia game, and may I repeat myself, like it's a national championship game. Like they beat a team in which, were 100% in all facets of the game, but that is completely wrong. They were losing and had lost their starting quarterback, and whether you believe it or not, that takes a toll on the team as a whole. Whenever you lose someone like Carson Beck, who has started for 2 years straight, put up numbers for Georgia history, and played very well in some big games, and won them a lot of games solely because of him. That is a big thing for that team. So, and for all of you thinking this is your national championship game, and all of you are going to talk shit to me afterward and have talked shit to me up until now. Let me just say this: you beat a college football team in Georgia who didn't have their starting quarterback. They can't run the ball, and whether Georgia fans believe it or not, the reason they have been winning games throughout the season was in spite or because of Carson Beck. Carson Beck is the reason they had been winning games. Believe it or not, Georgia fans, he is the reason. And you saw it in that game against Notre Dame. You saw it. You saw it. Gunnar Stockton, yes, he played a decent game. Did not have that killer mentality. Did not have the streak that Carson Beck did wasn't as accomplished, and he also didn't play as many games. Like, this is huge when it comes to college football. You need a veteran quarterback to help you out in a position to where in a long stretch of games he can win the game for you and make big plays. Gunnar Stockton did not do that. Some of the play calling was a little wishy-washy as well, like on the last drive where they were calling a screen pass when you had 30 seconds to get a touchdown and try to get a onside kick. But this goes out to all of my Notre Dame fans who think this is their college football championship, and truly it was. Truly it was. You got to beat Georgia Bulldogs at the time when they don't have their starting quarterback. You got to really feel good about yourself because you beat a team who didn't have their quarterback and wasn't at 100%. Imagine if you lost your quarterback, how would you play if you threw the next guy in line, especially in a college football playoff? So, welcome to the dumbass of the week, and that goes to the Notre Dame fans out there. You deserve it, honestly, every week, especially since that loss to Northern Illinois. But I'm going to give it to you especially this week for all the bullshit y'all have been talking. So congratulations, you are dumbasses of the week. That is brought to you by the Augusta Hemp Company for all your hemp pre-rolls, liquids, and canine needs. Whatever you need, go to the Augusta Hemp Company for all of your THC, CBD, as well as pre-roll needs for all my peaks out there who do anything like that. Welcome and thank you to another Jay Youngblood experience. This will be going on again. I know I took a hiatus, but we will be getting back into the swing of things. Thanks again for being a part of this, and hopefully, Notre Dame does not win the national championship, or I will have to eat a lot of my words. Thank y'all for tuning in. Have a great one.